It's time for the big conversations, telling stories of movers and shakers, of industry giants and daring professionals. It's time for the conversations that change your perspective on life, the kind of conversations that shape entrepreneurs and move careers forward. If you don't know where these conversations are found, we are sending you a GPS. But if you're listening to this voice right now, you are here. Welcome to the Growth Podcast. This is the GPS.
All right, welcome to another exciting edition of the Growth Podcast. We're very happy that you're with us again this week on this week's edition of the podcast. I think our last two episodes were like completely different because on the one end we had engineer Ebo Ngandu who gave us a mind-blowing episode, still reeling from that one. Then we had Mark with the comical side and his media journey. This week we're taking a whole different twist and we're talking to someone who is also in a whole different field altogether. Most of you do know him. But before we get into the nitty-gritties of the conversation, remember the podcast is brought to you by Best Life Insurance. And they would like you to know, that a fully documented claim can be paid in 12 hours if you have all the paperwork. Contact Best Life Insurance on info@bestlifezambia.co.zm or you can call them on 0953 765656. That is Best Life Insurance. So, like I did say, our guest this week on the podcast is on the other side of the spectrum. He is, music, but a different, kind of music. We've been having a conversation with him around that, and we're getting into it just now. Sebastian Dutch, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Fantastic podcast. Finally, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me sit on this chair. I think we're going to have an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I look forward to it myself. The fact that you said interesting conversation, now I'm looking forward even more. But as someone who just knows the podcast, you know how our tradition is. I've got these cards. I want you to pick 4.
Okay.
Each card has a question. Ooh. So you pick the card, ask the question, and then you answer it. Okay. They've got different colors.
Let's spread them around a bit.
Yeah, so yours only have 2 colors, the blue and the yellow.
Okay. So just 4 cards.
Just 4.
Please let them be nice. Okay, let's balance the colors.
All right,
okay.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, so question number 1.
What negative traits do you publicly laugh about but secretly know you have to fix? This show has ended as soon as it started. Whoa. I have to think about this one.
Oh, there are too many.
Not really. Maybe having a bit too much to drink sometimes. Yeah. That's something that you always be like, why did you drink that much? But then secretly, there are days where you go overboard and, even if it's with yourself, as long as you're not damaging people, you know that you kind of have to not go overboard. I'll say that. I'll start with that. What a bad note to start on. The time that I fought for myself.
No, what's the question?
Tell me about a time that you fought for yourself. Physically?
Or it can be for fighting for yourself as in a position at a place of work or, fighting for an opportunity or anything.
I think, this one is actually a bit hard. I'm trying to think. I think the time I was traveling the time I had a competition with an opportunity to travel to Ibiza. I think that's the time that I fought for myself. I really put so much effort into that. I wanted to get it right. I knew everyone who was involved, tried to impress everyone, and eventually I won it. So I think that's one of the times where I really fought for myself. That's a battle that I'm happy I won.
Great.
The best mistake you ever made and why? Dropping out of school.
That was the best mistake you made?
Yeah, that was the best mistake I ever made, dropping out of college.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, dropping out of college. Because as much as full circle, found myself back in it, it really pushed me in a direction where I needed to push myself. I needed to find myself. I needed to find what I wanted, what my passions are, who I really wanted to be. So that's the best mistake I've ever made.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we have one more question, right? Describe the time when you needed extreme courage to keep going because others gave up. Again, goes back to the story. I think right in the period when I was dropping out of school and moving into the musical space and trying DJing and pushing onwards, I think not everybody was comfortable with the decision that I made. So I really had to fight for myself. It was up to me to show everyone that I made the right decision. So I really needed the courage, and yeah, I think that's so.
All right. No, not bad. Was okay.
Could have been worse. Could have been worse.
But you see, the thing I like about these questions is that they really make you look deep within yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we take ourselves for granted until we answer the hard questions about ourselves. But talking about the questions about ourselves, who would you say Sebastian Dutch is?
Well, I'm a DJ. I'm a musician, electronic musician or music producer. I think I'm generally a happy guy. What else? I'm a very creative person. And I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I'm a very big-hearted person as well. I think that's who Sebastian Dutch is.
Okay, okay. Maybe before I assume and ask, where did the name Sebastian Dutch come from?
Yeah.
Is that your real name?
No. No. A lot of people have asked me that, but no. What I would say is Sebastian is now an adopted middle name.
Okay.
Yeah. It was not my birth name, but thank God that the family has said, hey, it's your name, it's your name. Yeah, but those are not my birth names. Dutch comes from the Netherlands, right? Because at the time I was adopting the moniker Sebastian Dutch, I was consuming a lot of music from the Netherlands. A lot of dance music inspired me from there. So I became Sebastian from the Netherlands. That's how the Sebastian Dutch came up from.
Okay, so the actual Sebastian name, where did it come from?
So I can't really tell that secret. It's like what I'll do is I'll give you the story that I tell everyone, which is that it was inspired by a certain musician who I was really following. But yeah, there's...
Okay, but so what are your real names?
Julius Mwewa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't look like a Julius, man.
Yeah, I've had that so many times. People will be like, please, sir, send us your bank details. And then they'll be like, who is... Accounts is calling to ask who is Julius. It's me. So that's my real name. Those are my birth names, Julius Mwewa. Yeah, I was born in Dola, raised in Dola. I'm Bemba. My mom's Ngoni. Maybe say fun fact, my granddad is Julius Chongo. He was a writer and radio presenter back in the day. He did the Fumbi Kobos and all those. And I know the Ngoma Awards present the Best Male Writer award in his name. So that was my mom's dad. Yeah. So yeah, I was born, raised in Dola. I'm just a kid from Dola.
What were the early signs when you were young that this guy is gonna be an artistic guy?
Yo, I don't know. I think I partially think some of the artistic nature that I have comes from my dad, because my dad played guitar in a band back in the day. So he used to tell me these stories of how he would skip school because he was in boarding school in Mansa. He would skip school every time. I don't know I can't remember exactly which band, but he would skip school to go play guitar with a band whenever that band is in town. And that band would always tell him, quit school, join us. We're touring. Look at the lifestyle, you know. So he was very musical early on. He would play guitar. He would sing. So I think later on in my grade school, that's when I started really honing my musical talent. That's when I got interested in making music. My best friend, Chimunya, was very musical as well. He played keyboard, played a bit of guitar, played some drum. So being around him kind of also influenced me into this whole making music thing.
All right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the dropping out of college.
Yeah.
What college was it? As in, what program were you doing?
So after grade school, I went to UNZA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's where I went. Yeah, I went to UNZA. I went to study at UNZA. But I think somewhere while I was at UNZA, I started to figure out that maybe this is not entirely what I want. Not necessarily that the education route is not what I wanted, but what I was doing at UNZA wasn't necessarily what I wanted. It wasn't really applicable to the person that I am, you know. I remember also, I'll reference my mom again, she would always tell me that you're too fidgety to be an accountant, for example. She'd always tell me that accounts would be a boring job for you because you'd have to sit and punch in numbers, push in payments and stuff. And she'd tell you, you're too fidgety for that. You know, so I think somewhere down the line there, I started to realize maybe this isn't for me. But I had the opportunity at that point to make a decision, and I said, no, I won't continue with this program anymore. And I dropped out of the natural sciences course. And then this journey started. And through this journey, I now found something that I actually like to study at school. So yeah, that's why I think I added that as one of my best mistakes, because it came full circle.
You mentioned the accounting and
Yeah.
the natural sciences. What were you doing at UNZA?
I was doing natural sciences.
But what about the accounting? Where that comes
So
from?
my mom was an accountant by profession.
So that was basically a conversation
It
about
was
accounting.
basically a conversation about accounting.
Okay,
She
so-
used to do it.
But what
yeah.
was your end game at UNZA, natural sciences, and become what? Eventually, what do you want to do?
So obviously the dream was to be a doctor.
Ah,
Eventually the dream was to be a doctor because I guess I'm kind-hearted, saving lives. That was always the dream. But like I said, somewhere down the line in that progression, I think it would have never gotten the best out of my talents. So yeah, somewhere there, I think decisions had to be made.
So you took the decision to pull out completely.
Yeah.
Others feel, I've already started. Let me just finish this, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
For you, why do you feel the dropping out at the moment you feel like this is not for me was better than, let me see this through, and then I've already started anyway, so yeah.
So this is why I said it was still a mistake at the time, but it turned out well. So at the time, obviously, the thinking was, this is not for me. I can't manage to do this. That was the thinking at the time. And you are 19, and you just started DJing, and you kind of feel better placed in that environment than you do in the other environment. You kind of start fighting within yourself for what you really want to do. And obviously it wasn't a decision that was taken lightly, because even after that, there were efforts to you need to get back. But I think what it was not just getting back into school, but what do you want to do? What is it that you actually want to do? What is your dream? What are you thinking about? What is your vision? And I think for me, it kind of took me time to kind of figure out a pathway for myself, to know what I want to do, to figure out, okay, this is the person that I want to become. For a lot of my early 20s and a lot of my late teens, I was not very sure about that. Yeah.
For many, the fear with dropping out is the shame.
Yes.
They know what do they think about my parents, what do they think about me and whatnot, and you just hang in there. Was there shame in your experience, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, that was a very difficult period in my life because I had to make a decision at that point. And my parents, as much as they tried to support me, they said, look, if you are making this decision, we're not going to support that decision. If you're going to go back to school, we've got your back. But if you want to do these other things, we won't really support your decision. So it took time for them to actually understand what I want to do. And even when they understood, even when they saw that there is some financial gain in what I'm doing because I was maybe doing it properly or at a higher level, they still emphasized on the same thing. And again, it's one of those things where, as a boy, you're fighting everything. You're not understanding life as it's coming to you. But it took me time to also understand that education is not, we don't go to school to learn, to get a degree so that we can find a job and start working. The real purpose of education, or what I believe the real purpose of education is, to empower ourselves, to think a certain way, to open our minds to a certain pathway, not so that, hey, I'm studying this so that I can work in this. Some of the best people in certain professions didn't even study those professions. You find maybe high-level bankers with a degree in psychology. So education is not built for, let me go to school, find a job, and work. I don't think so. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you because I always give this example and I always abuse him. The CEO for Stanchart is mining engineer.
See?
So
See?
I get your point. I think the whole idea behind education is to liberate the mind.
Yes.
To make you open-minded. And that's why you find that banks are going to get a guy who has a degree and turn them into anything.
Yes.
Because they've shown their ability to assimilate a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's what works for them. So for you, then you quit. And then what?
Music at that time was my only escape. I will also say that at that time, I think I went through a lot of personal things. There's a lot of personal things going on in the background in my life because, when something like that happens in your life, whether you made the decision on your own or whether it happens by circumstance or something like that, there's always this kind of like you have to restart from ground up. So for me at that time, I was already maybe half a foot into music. I was already DJing to some extent. I think I was getting some low-level gigs at that time, and I was already producing music at that time also. So somewhere in between that, I met quite a number of people because here comes this kid from Dola. He's 19 years old with his laptop making these beats that you only hear from musicians in South Africa. Oh, who's this kid making house music? Who's this kid making house music? So at the time, I met a lot of people. I was introduced to TK from Roma side. I was introduced to a lot of people, but somewhere in that journey, I got introduced to DJ LBC, the late, and that's where things just started happening. I remember how I actually somehow moved to Lusaka, if I may say that, is through back home in Dola, me and that time I think Twitter was just getting on. So me and my friends in Dola started like a mini viral campaign where we we tweeted at DJ LBC on Twitter to let me play at a party he was hosting. So now here's this DJ, because at the time DJ LBC was hosting the breakfast show on QFM. He was one of the biggest radio presenters. I think at the time he had the most Twitter followers in the country because of his radio show. So now here comes this kid from Dola who's making house music, and all of a sudden, all these people, random people you don't know from Dola, are bombarding you on Twitter, telling you to put this guy on your lineup. So eventually, he DM'd me on Twitter, sent me a DM, said, "Look, kid, tell your friends to knock it off. I get it, send me your number." He called me, told me, "Look, if you can get to Lusaka, I'll put you on the show." I said, "Cool." So there I was in Dola, scrambling around, making a plan, put myself on a bus to Lusaka. I got to Lusaka, I met DJ LBC it was called Diamonds of Lusaka at that time. Kafio Road, yes.
Yeah.
LIV, I think that's what the club was called. And it was like a Big Brother party. So find myself in Lusaka and I meet the guy. "Oh, look, I'm a huge fan." Because he had this show on QFM called Definition of Dance that he would play house music every Saturday morning. So I met the guy and we talked shop so much. And then in the process, I was like, "I need you to hear some stuff." Grab my laptop, he wears his headphones, and I play him my music. And he's like, "Dude, this stuff is amazing. Like, what's going on? What are you doing with these things? We need to get in the studio." And that's how me and LBC's relationship started. And yeah, the rest is history, man. We put out a song together. We put out an album together. That album was my breakthrough. I started doing gigs. I started working with brands. Unfortunately, he passed away somewhere along the line, which I think was one of the worst experiences I've ever experienced in my life. And then, yeah, story leads up to where we are. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
From what you've said, there's something I always tell people about putting your foot in the doorway.
Yeah.
There are some people who just sit and expect that the opportunity will come.
Yeah.
One day someone will discover me.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting at home. And then there are people that have an attitude like yours, where you say, "Let me reach out to him.
Yes.
Let me send him a message. Let me." And for the most part, others just sit back because they've got even I should. That level of pride, like, why should I? Why should I? Why should I? What's your advice to young people who, and I know you may get those a lot.
Yeah.
And also others don't reach out because in the back of your mind, they're thinking like,
He won't reply.
LBC, how many people are inboxing him? You get the point, right? Like, how many people are inboxing Sebastian Dutch every day? How is he going to spot me out? What would you say to young people like that?
I think the biggest advice I have is it's more than just reaching out, right? It's the vision at the end of the day. you can reach out to everyone, but you need to have a vision. Let's say you're reaching out, or I'm reaching out to you, right? I need something from you. And then you say yes. When you give me that opportunity, you open that door for me. Am I prepared for it? If I walk into your door, when you say yes, come in the door, and I've got nothing to show you, or I've got half-baked content or information to show you, you're going to tell me, you know what, come back when you're ready. You might not open that door for me ever again. So what I would advise everyone, like the young people out there who are starting, is get yourself together first, know what you want to do, then start reaching out. Then when it comes to reaching out, like you've said, look, you really have nothing to lose, right? You really have nothing to lose. If you reach out to Sebastian Dutch and he doesn't respond, you have not lost anything. You didn't have Sebastian Dutch already. So what's the difference if he doesn't respond? Like, you haven't lost anything. There's no damage there. You feel a bit bad, but you haven't lost anything. But then you might gain something out of the 10 Sebastian Dutches you text. One might reply and you might gain something. So it's really those two things. It's really about being prepared for the opportunity when it comes, and also seeking the opportunity. I read something the other day which said that, I think Boston or someone sent it to me, and it was talking about how what you look for, you will find. So if your mind is actively searching for opportunity, you will find the opportunity. If your mind is actively searching for faults, negativities, you will find the faults, you will find the negativities. But if you're looking for opportunity, breakthrough, eventually your mind will lead you there.
Wow, interesting. And your relationship with LBC, tell me how it was, because for me it strikes me as some sort of mentor-mentee relationship. And others do get those relationships, but you find that they never go far because either the mentee abuses the relationship, or, like you said again, it's an issue of you're not ready. So you feel like the mentor feels like the kind of work that you're giving out is not,
it's not
worth them wasting your time, and they'll just drop you off later on.
So what I would say is this. Now, I think I'm going to speak from the position I am now before I speak from where I was. From where I am now, mentorship is not for everyone. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Because for you to actively mentor someone, what I believe and in my experiences, you have to be selfless. There has to be something about you that is willing to give out your time to something that you see potential in. Willing to give out your time, your effort. So you have to be a bit selfless. And that's where I find I struggle with a lot of mentorship in Zambia. And even when I hear people talking about artist management in Zambia, I struggle understanding their roles, because are you selfless enough to then commit to seeing this person grow? That's the real question. Then from my perspective, right, the way my relationship was with LBC, in the beginning, it was really hard because I was stubborn. I was a stubborn kid, didn't really understand what he was trying to say to me, the information he was trying to give me. I was stubborn, and then I was entering a market where, how the music business is, how the entertainment business is. It's all glitz and glamour, So you start experiencing things that, a 20-year-old should not necessarily be fully exposed to, or at 19 years or at 20 years, you shouldn't really be exposed to those things. So I was very stubborn in the beginning, but I started to understand certain things that he was telling me. Be humble, especially the humility part. Be humble. Don't be like this. Speak like this. Dress properly. Don't drink this much. When you go out for a gig, when you're done, go home, go rest, stay healthy, all of these things. And our relationship slowly grew from just mentor, mentee, to like almost kind of like father-son-ish, Because, there was maybe, I think, a 10-year or a 12-year gap between me and him. It became almost father-son-y. And I will tell you, if there's a person who I've met who is selfless in his life, it was LBC. Because I'll tell you, there are stories where he would set up a gig for me, and I'll rock up and he'll be like, dude, you don't look like this gig. Let's go to a store. And he would purchase clothing for me, right? And say, now you're ready to go for the gig, let's go. So you have to be selfless.
Do you mentor anyone?
I did mentor someone, yes. I did mentor someone. I mentored DJ Miss Selfie. She's a female DJ and she's one of the best in the country.
Okay. For young people who want to, be where you are or even exceed and,
Yes.
and do more, what do you see that you feel like this is a reason you're not going far?
There are a lot of reasons. There are a lot of reasons. I don't know, man. There are a lot of reasons. I think that I'd say, okay, in the entertainment industry, one thing I see is that people limit themselves to their environment. And it's a shame. It's a shame because I'll tell you, even some of the big superstars right now in the country are limiting themselves to their environment. So I think that's something that I think when you start your career in the entertainment business, don't just think of how do I get my song into this market? How do my song start playing in the barbershop that's next door? No. Ask yourself, how do I get my song nominated for a Grammy? Right? That's the big goal. So you set up your big goal. I want a Grammy. Then you start setting up every other little goal in the middle, like steps. Then you start walking them. So if your goal to get to the Grammy is, I want my song to be played at the corner shop, that's only step one. It shouldn't be the end goal. So what happens to a lot of younger artists, a lot of younger DJs is when they make 3 steps, they think, we're good. We're here now. I'm playing 3 shows in dollar every weekend. I'm the best DJ in the world. I'm the best rapper in this country. I'm the best entertainer in this country. No. Beyond the dollar, there's another space. It's Copper Belt. Beyond the Copper Belt, there's Zambia. Even beyond Zambia, there's Africa. Beyond Africa, there's the world. So why are you limiting yourself to my hood? Oh, people in my hood are playing my song. And then what? Is that the furthest you can think? So thinking beyond, sometimes it feels like it's unachievable, To refer back to my story, I told myself, so me and LBC used to talk about Ibiza because it's the capital of dance music in the world. And we'd always say, in 5 years, we're going to Ibiza. Yeah, in 5 years, we're going to Ibiza. When we started saying that, in 3 years, I went to Ibiza. In 3 years. Unfortunately, he passed on a year before, so he couldn't see me going to Ibiza. But that was something that when I came back, I cried about and said, man, I wish you saw this. I wish you saw that I got on 2 flights to Spain, then went to Ibiza, and I opened for Black Coffee on the island in a secret mansion somewhere in Ibiza. I wish you saw this. So, yeah, limiting how you think is very, 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 very detrimental.
The point you've mentioned about limiting yourself to your environment.
Yeah.
Do you think that sometimes your environment forces you to limit yourself to the environment? And I'll give you a very good example why I'm asking that question. I don't like to mention other people's names on the podcast, but for this example, I will. The young man, Chilewan,
yes,
was one of, if not the only Zambians that had submitted his music to the Grammy, the Grammy Awards. And when the news broke that he had submitted his music, everyone made a joke out of it. Like, what do you think you are? And so because of that, people would rather not even dare to dream. You get the point, right?
Yeah.
Because when word goes out that you're dreaming like this, your environment automatically comes and says, dude, just shut up.
Yeah.
You get the point, right?
Yeah.
And so people then begin to only think as far as their environment, because that is what the environment accepts as, yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah.
The moment that, because look at you, for example, the Ibiza thing at the time was far-fetched.
Yes.
You get the point,
100%.
right? If you went public and say, in 3 years, I'm going to, what would have been the feedback?
Yeah.
You get the point, right?
Yes.
So you'd rather say, you know what, let me just chill at his park. That's my
That's
level.
my thing.
How then do you avoid your environment dictating how far you can go?
So now that's a personal thing. Unfortunately, you can't fix that in people. You need to be able to motivate yourself beyond that. This is why when you hear stories about, no, that guy is a general manager of this big company, but he was a street kid. How did a person who used to sleep on the street break out of the mentality of the fact that he's a street kid? Now he's a high-level corporation CEO. We hear stories like that. Oh, this person came from this background. Now look at this. We hear rags to riches stories like that all the time. So think about that. Sometimes you don't need someone to come pick you up. You just need to pick yourself up. Once you start picking yourself up, I don't know, man, the universe just aligns. The bricks just start forming up. So yes, the environment does hinder you, but that's what makes people special. Your ability to think beyond that environment that has encircled you and break beyond it. That's why you're special. Because if you fall in line with everything that's happening in your environment and everyone that's in your environment, then you're not special. You're like everybody else. So if you want to be special, how are you going to be special? You need to stick out. And how do you stick out? You take the different direction. You're not going to do what everyone is doing. Then what makes you special? So it's a bit of self-motivation on that end, And I mean, kudos to Chilowan for doing that. He's dreaming. He's got to go. He now needs to just make sure that he places every little step in between to get to that goal. And that's all he needs.
The example you've given about the rags to riches, the guy on the street becoming general manager, reminds me of what my CEO says, because he says, look, everyone who is in their current position has a good reason why they're there. And if they tell you that reason, you believe it. But then you find that even with that good reason, I mean, if you ask the guy on the street, he has a good reason why he's on the street.
Yeah.
You get the point, right? But of the 10 of them, one will rise and become CEO.
Yeah.
The same reason he had is the same reason the other 9 have. But even through that, he'll still rise and, make something out of himself. You obviously didn't just have, the ability to, mix music and make music from scratch as a DJ, time into LBC and whatnot. I feel like for you to be here, it's more than just I can make a beat.
Yeah.
You get the point, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain attitude and character that it takes for you to be the Sebastian Dutch that everyone celebrates.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I think one of I'm kind of tooting my own horn actually here. I think it's humility. That's the first thing. A lot of the spaces that I'm in now, I feel like for the part of my life that I'm in, especially with the career that I chose, I'm doing okay. Obviously there's more millions to be made. But I also don't like gauging success and life based on money, because money is fickle. Today you have it, tomorrow you don't have it. But I think humility is one of the most important things, because you never really know what the surrounding people where they are going to end up in the next 3, 4, 5 years. A lot of the places that I've gone to, the places I've been to, have been through connections that I made 3, 4 years ago, stayed humble through them, and those people's lives went a certain direction, my life went a certain direction, but we still found each other, Even like my working with Zambia Breweries, for example, has been through processes like that. People I met when I was younger, I didn't make a jerk out of myself in front of them, and those relationships eventually came to fruition at some point. So humility is really key. It's really, really key. And obviously, there's a level at which humility should stop and you should be able to stand up for yourself. But there's no need, even when you make it, you've made it. It's you who has made it. It's really no need to show everyone else that you made it.
Okay. You we were having a conversation before we started recording, and you told me about the other work that you do.
Yes.
Because I think for the greater society, we just know this guy just just does DJing, Sebastian Dutch and whatnot. But you told me that you actually work, you have a formal job, like
yes.
I won't say you have a career because even
even that is a career.
Even that is a career. But tell me about the other work that you do that people don't know you for.
Okay, so I'm in marketing, and I'm an account executive for an agency. I don't know if I can name drop the agency, but But yes, I'm actually an account executive for an agency. Besides that, I've been doing a lot of work in eventing spaces. Working with brands has been one of my biggest blessings because I self-taught myself how to work with brands. I fused in my DJing abilities into working with brands, and then it kind of I even started moving the DJing away from some of those brands, and so I started focusing on working with the people who are running those brands and how I can help and how I can put in what I can, So that's the other side of me that people don't see. I'm actually probably like full-time in marketing at this point. But that's the other side that people don't see. I'm also on radio. It's obviously part of the entertainment stream, but yeah, that's the other side that people don't see.
Okay. And I've always asked this question to people who do something away from the arts, because I think the last time I met someone was a comedian and then they're a journalist.
Yes.
And then I think I've had people who, like I think I had Topsy on the podcast, and he's a comedian and he does PR for ZRA. Well, he used to, but he's still there. But people who want to relegate you to you're just a DJ. You get the point, right? Good as you may be at your marketing, because I feel if you're not good enough, I think that career would have died.
Straight, very, very much.
The fact that you sustained it means you're good enough at it.
Yeah.
But then there are always those people that come and want to relegate to just, even in a meeting, like, I'm a DJ, just play us a song,
Yes,
How do you still break it in two and say, you know what, now I'm doing marketing. This is serious business.
So, what I'll tell you about that is, again, remember, be humble. It's not in your place to start proving your intelligence to the people that are doubting. It's not in your place. You don't need to do that. Let your work show. Let the things that you are doing or the things that you want to do show. If you walk into a space where people know you beyond what you do, like in my case, my DJing, they will respect that and they will listen. And even if it's not the best effort they've ever seen, they'll still understand that this person is a professional in the right frame of mind. This is what he was thinking. It might not be for us, and they'll respect you for that. So that's one thing. I think I'm always in spaces where if you think I'm just a DJ, then that's what you'll get out of me. But if you call me and say, hey, I've seen you do this and this, or I've heard you work with these people, or I've seen you at the office here with this, what are you doing there? What can you do for me? How can you help me? Then I will help you in a professional capacity as well. So it becomes a very difficult thing. If every room you walk into, you have to prove yourself more than what you are. So let people take you for who they think you are. And then when you are ready, when they are ready as well, they'll now see the other side of you. They'll now get to see, okay, this person is more than just a DJ, And I've experienced this a lot with doing events. I'll run an event that I'm not even DJing, but the machine behind that event respects my work. They understand what I do. They understand my vision, and they're able to back me, right? But the guys on the ground, they'll just say, it's a DJ. Yeah, it's just a DJ. Not knowing that the whole experience that they're experiencing came from my head. That's how life is at the end of the day. So I can't now start going around the room and say, hey, this is my experience. No. Just allow it. When the time comes, people will know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was the transition? Because here you are, because obviously you thought, okay, DJing is my thing. I have found my place in history. And then, you find yourself in the office.
So I think this passion started from... I found myself in spaces because of the kind of music that I love to do. Like, I'm an all-round DJ. I can play everything and all that. But my main niche has always been house music and dance music. So we started finding ourselves in spaces where, we have to force the agenda, kind of, because the music is not mainstream. The music we do is not mainstream. So we kind of had to start creating environments for ourselves to play our music. So... I saw El was doing his own thing. I was like, okay, he's creating his own parties and getting his people. Okay, I also want to, try some of these things. And then at the time, Moses Zulu Digital Events had also started doing his events. And I had worked with him. I sat down with Moses and said, look, I want to start creating my own environments to play this music. And I'll do small parties, and Moses would help me run around and do all those small things like years back. And that's how I started getting a passion for these things. Now, while I was doing those things, I kind of, similar to what I did with LBC, I kind of launched a backdoor guerrilla campaign at Budweiser. Because Budweiser was, AB NBF had just made the big purchase that they did. They purchased all the breweries, sub-Miller inclusive. So Budweiser was coming in the country. So now I was very interested in Budweiser because I'm a huge American football fan. So I'd always see the Budweiser commercials, the horses, and all of those things. So I started this backdoor guerrilla campaign where I was like, I want people from Zambia Breweries to notice me. So I'll be drinking Budweiser in a bar, wherever it is, taking pictures. And, then I pushed the idea to someone I knew who was, like I said, when you meet people, be humble, who was a friend of mine from the brewery. I pushed the idea to him, said, look, I love this brand. And luckily enough, he was like, go for it. Let's see what you can do in 6 months. I proved my self-worth. Another 6 months went by, proved my self-worth. The director of marketing at that time said, look, we can use this guy. He's got the ability. He knows what he's doing. So once I got my foot into that end, so now I had this eventing that I had learned. Then now I had this brand side that I had started learning. I now started self-teaching myself more about marketing. What do brands actually need from me? When I write a proposal for sponsorship for an event, what is it that is required? Sometimes I sieve through proposals through my work, and maybe someone will write you a proposal for a beer brand, but be talking about kids, for example, things like that. So I started to learn I started to learn. And then at some point, Moses, now this is later on, says, look, dude, I think there's something here. You're on to something. I'm doing this. Can we work together? So that's when I got my first entrance into working for an agency. And that's the time I was working for digital events. So I spent quite a bit of time there and I enjoyed my time there. Then afterwards, I got a bit selfish and said, I want to chase a bigger bag, right? And this bag that I wanted to chase is not a financial bag. No, it's more of an experience for me, right? Like, how do I add on to the experience that I've gotten from working with digital events? And then I found another agency. Again, based on the relationship that I had been building, I think I've known Priscilla for 7 years. She's seen me grow up in the DJing space. And I went to her and I told her, boss, I want to intern for you. I believe that I can bring something to the table. And she gave me a chance. And here I am.
I want to intern for you. I, Sebastian Dutch.
Yes.
The big DJ.
The big DJ.
Want to intern for you.
Yes. I can come off headlining or whatever, playing the second last slot at Mossy Day of Thunder. And then I'll come and say, Sebastian, I want to do some work for you. What do you have for me? That's how life should be, to be honest.
Does such humility come easy? Because, to be honest, I don't see someone who's established themselves come and say, I want to intern. Because even people, here's a funny thing, even people who have no name, nothing, just came out of university, feel like they're too good to intern. They're too big to intern. I've spent 4 years doing this degree. I just go and sit there for free, know that and yet here you are, and you say, you know what, I'm going to intern for free. What? How do you even have such humility?
I don't know. Look, the dream should always be bigger than what you're currently going through. So if I believe that something will put me in the right position 2 years down the line, then why not? Why not? Some of the biggest doors that will open in your life will come from such occurrences. If you assume you are big and you are the biggest, people around you always assume there's nothing we can give this person that he doesn't already have. They might actually have something they can give you. So if you're always moving around as the biggest person in the room, then you're never going to get anything from anyone around you because you're the biggest person in the room. So what can you get from a person who, what can you get? You have everything. What can you get from the people around you? Nothing. But if you always put yourself in a position where, regardless of who you are, how much you're making, put yourself just slightly low enough to learn, listen to what's going around, you might just pick up something on the next big thing that's happening.
Like I told you, we had Engineer Ebongandu who sat in that chair and they talked about young people who are not willing to play the long game.
Yeah.
And and I tell this to people so many times, in our country, we have a lot of young people who want instant gratification.
Yeah.
You know, just look at money, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Go to a young person and tell them, no, invest in government bonds in 15 years. You're going to, 15 years.
Yeah.
You get the point, right?
Yes.
And even these insurance companies, these guys who sell this whole, this plan, you know, invest every month and then after 20 years you get this. No one wants that.
No one.
But they want to bet, because if I bet in 90 minutes,
There's a result.
there's a result.
Yeah.
You get the point, right? And that then reflects even in the quality of decisions that they make.
Yes.
Someone, like I said, wouldn't even think about interning because I want money right now.
Yeah.
You get the point, right? I'm not seeing my life in 10 years or in 15 years. But here is someone like you who, even though you established yourself, you still want to, you know, go and intern.
Yeah.
What is your long game?
I don't think I'm sure yet, which is very weird. But right now I'm facing two fronts, right? So I feel like the position where I am in my marketing career, it's a great foot that I've put in, right? And there's more to learn in that front, because marketing is beyond what we see now, which is, no, what are you posting on Facebook? What are the numbers behind it? You know, marketing goes beyond that. So I really want to push that direction as well, because I've seen that my creative talents can be used in a business environment. Then again, I'm a great DJ. I like to think I'm a great DJ. And my music is really appreciated around the world as well. You know, I've had instances where I've made music and I would call John from Creative Natives, who's been a long-time friend, and I'll tell him, dude, I made this song and I think it's really terrible. And he'll be like, dude, send it over. And I'll send it to him. He's like, this song is great. I'm like, nah, this song is terrible. And he was like, put it out. We can bet on this. The last time we did that, I put out a song. I actually didn't even put out the song. I had sent the song. There's what we call promoing in dance music, where you pre-send the song to DJs to see how they'll react to it before you actually release it to the public. I sent that song on promo, and someone from Black Coffee's team, who I chat with, replied to me and said, Black Coffee's spinning this song now. And I was like, what? And the video started popping up on the internet. Bam, 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 bam. Black Coffee's in Mexico. Oh, that's my song. Black Coffee's in Poland. He's playing my song. So that kind of also gives me the courage to say, maybe I should still also continue making music. Maybe this is still something that I need to continue. So I'm going to play both games until I exhaust one. And I feel like with creativity, it's intertwined. I can still go to my office job, meet my KPIs there, and we're good to go. And I can still have time for a studio session every evening, do a gig on the weekend, and just balance it out.
Talk to me about the lifestyle of a DJ.
Oh,
How is it like being a DJ?
Man. Full disclosure or honesty, it can make or break you. And maybe not only DJ life, but I think any form of entertainment can make or break you. You are surrounded by a lot of people who like you, or they think they like you, not because of who you are, but because of what you do, right? And it's in every aspect, you know. You serve even when we have events, and maybe there's a big artist coming from outside the country, you can see the way people react all of a sudden, and they're your best friends because something's happening. Oh, Day of Thunder is coming, something's happening. Oh, we need tickets, we need this, get us this. Dude, get us a bottle, you're getting free drinks from the bar. You know, so you get to meet a lot of people, you get to know a lot of people, and you get to befriend, I'm going to use inverted commas, befriend a lot of people. But it's very important to keep yourself grounded in that environment, because you won't really know who your friends are. And most of the times when you take yourself out of that environment, you take out the DJ gigs, you take out the extras that come with being a DJ, the access to people that you have, most people won't be your friends. So, yeah, it can make or break you. Dating is also hard. as a DJ, because people also have their own. Like, let's be honest. We've heard people say DJs don't listen, or for lack of a better term, let me say it as it said, I'm a DJ Maole. We've heard people say that before. It's assumptions that obviously have come from previous generations, being that way. And even some guys in our generation still do that, but it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. I think we should never attest someone's behavior to the nature of their job. We're all people. It's not like all the DJs came from one factory, and in that factory, when they were processing, they were like, be a playboy. No. So a person's behavior must be related to the person himself. So if I'm going out there and I'm being a playboy and I'm getting drunk every weekend, it's not because I'm a DJ. It's because that's my personality. That's who I am. Being a DJ has nothing to do with that. I know DJs who go to gigs and never get drunk and never womanize and never do stuff like that. So it is a lifestyle that you need to exercise a bit of control, especially the better you get. When you are younger, it's easy because, even the money you're making is less. But as you start getting better, you start getting known, start making a little bit more money so you can afford a little bit more expensive things start changing. Your environment starts changing. The women also start changing. So if you're not strong enough, you're gone.
Man, you've got a lot of wisdom,
I try.
Yeah, because also the next thing I was going to ask is, how do you remain grounded in terms of, look, at the time you're making the decision to be a DJ, there's some things that you consider that you say, look, this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
And along the way, like you said, there are all these distractions, the alcohol, the women, the lifestyle, all of this. And there is this temptation to want to live a fake life, to the point, right? And most people fall for that.
Yes.
What makes you consistently stick to, this is what I want, and I'll go and get it? Because like I said, if you had fallen for all of these things, I don't think you'd be sitting there.
No, not at all. I think what I would say is, it's not instant wisdom, or it's not that I know everything, or I'm the smartest guy in the world, or I'm the sharpest DJ, or I'm Mr. Perfect DJ guy. No. Some of the things I had to learn the hard way, because my early 20s were a mess. What I can tell you is that I've lived that rockstar lifestyle in the cheapest way possible in my early 20s, I was everywhere, I was getting drunk, I was with, those friends who, when you leave the DJ gig or when you're done DJing, at 6 hours, you're still drinking. And you're sleeping at 10. At 12 hours, you're finding the next place to start the party. You're reaching work at 20 hours, continuing. Your body is dilapidated, but you're going on. So yes, I had to experience some of those things to come back down and say, hey, hold on, what are we doing here? Is this what we want? I've had life-threatening incidences, like I had a myocardial infarction in about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Because at that time, I had picked up a smoking habit, right? So I was drinking and smoking, and, I was young. I'm 23, 24. I've got a radio show. I started making some money, so I'm thinking, yeah. And then collapsed in the club. I was taken to the hospital by the club owner, stayed in the hospital for 2 days. The doctors told me we couldn't find what was wrong, but from what we're seeing, it's like you had a myocardial infarction. How does a person at that age start having that? And that's similar to a heart attack. If it's not, I think it's the same thing, actually. So some of those things, those are the life lessons. The death of LBC is something also that put me in this position where I'm also able to stay grounded, because that person meant a lot to me. His funeral was the worst experience I've had in my life, and I remember sitting next to Gesh Groove throughout the whole ceremony because I couldn't contain myself. Kudos to Mr. Chitoshi. He's the man. So that death put me also in a situation where, and that was early on also in my early 20s going into my mid 20s, where I was depressed, right? And I didn't know this because the alcohol, the partying, the DJing, it was covering up how I was really feeling about the loss. So I went through a very dark period at that point where I was facing my demons and Yeah. I think I've said this once or twice publicly, but it's not something I like to dive deep into. I don't want to become a mental health advocate, no. But it's a process that I went through in my life. Took a lot for me to actually realize what was wrong with me. I had to get help for it, professional help, as people should do when they're in such situations. And then I started getting out of it. And I'm not perfect. I'm still also a work in progress. But it started to teach me to be more responsible, to look at what I really need, Even like looking after money. I'll tell you the truth. Maybe people will comment on this and people refuse. Like the lifestyles of the entertainment guys, sometimes not what you see on the Instagram. It's not what you see, guys. These guys are living from weekend to weekend checks, right? And I don't know, somebody one day will sit us down and say, stop doing this. But there's a loop in the entertainment industry where people don't handle their money wisely because they know they're going to make money on the weekend. Say, for example, today is a Monday, right? I know that. So Monday, I'm kicking off my day with my bank balance full because I played 3-4 shows on the weekend. I can spend all that money between Monday and Thursday, knowing that on Friday, I'm back in the shop making money. So then you develop this loop where instead of thinking how a person who has a day job works 25 days a week or 20 days a week and then gets paid at the end of the month, they plan for that. That should cover you for the whole month. You are only planning for a week. So you make your rent 3 times over in one weekend, but spend it the same weekend, and you'll find that maybe in rent month, you don't have money for rent. So there's a lot of this going on in the entertainment industry, this loop of where people make money and they spend it. You make money in the same venue you've made money, you get paid in the same venue, you spend half of your money there. Because now you're the DJ, you put on a good show, everyone, hey, the DJ. Okay, let me buy some bottles in here. It's unnecessary. So it takes time also, just like any other thing in any other occupation, any other job, whether you're a doctor, you're an accountant, whether you're in marketing. It takes time. You start from being a clerk, you become the junior accountant, you become assistant accountant, head accountant, then maybe you become head of finance at one point. And you're a CEO one day. So even this, it was like a learning curve for me. Kind of move out of this lifestyle, you kind of, okay, the women, they're always there. You kind of, okay, ask yourself, okay, what kind of woman do I want in my life? Find somebody who works for you, stable relationship, I have a girlfriend now, puts a lot of pressure on me as well. It's good, I'm now accountable to somebody. So it helps. Going through that process helps.
Yeah. Look,
am I loading too much?
No. For me, my sighing is because I think this conversation, and we're coming to an end, by the way. This conversation that we've had, for me, really embodies why I created this podcast.
Yeah.
Because the kind of conversation we've had, I'd never in a million years imagine having a conversation like that with a DJ.
Yeah.
you get the point, right? Because I think DJs and people in entertainment are branded as, You get the point. But from the things that you said, and it's not just about musicians and artists, there are even people who are in full-time jobs who have those struggles with money.
Yes.
When I was at LBC, this man was telling me, the driver here gets money in pounds, but it's always, in debt and always, because of those same problems. Because, I'm thinking, pounds in Zingat, dollar, it has depreciated. And you keep making those same mistakes over and over again because you know that something is coming.
Yeah.
But by the time you realize and look back and say, okay, what have I done? You've got nothing to show for, And for me, I really feel like this is a mind opener. And also, I feel like there's more to people than meets the eye.
Yes.
You get a point. I see you like, the music guy. But I feel like the experiences that you've gone through make you this person that then is all-rounded. You can have a conversation and mentor even someone who's trying to build a career in marketing or in PR or in human resource because the principles really are the same.
Yes.
You get the point, right? If you look back, what would you say you would have wanted to do differently?
I would have definitely stayed in school. That's the one thing because I realized that I didn't need to drop out. I could have still done what I wanted to do. and still be in school. So that was one of the things I realized. And I thank God that I'm very lucky that I've had the opportunity to go back to school now that I'm formally working. I've had the opportunity to go back to school. Regardless, I know education gets harder the older you get because you're busier, you've got more responsibilities, there's so much more going on in your life. But I'm happy that I have the opportunity to go back and learn and improve my grades and everything, and get the paper that I want, and I'll keep improving on that. It's something that I've told myself that, hey, because that happened, you need to, it's a personal goal for me. So that's something that I'll definitely say to anybody out there who's pursuing a goal, a talent, is you don't need to quit school. You can still do it. Not everybody will be as lucky as I was and make it and have the opportunity to even send themselves back into school. And I've seen a lot of people in the entertainment industry also go through this cycle. Once there's the opportunity, the right ones anyway, once the opportunities start coming, they say, okay, let me educate myself. And the education is not because I already have the job. So the education is not because I want to get a job. It's because I need to open up my mind. I need to learn some more, So when I'm done with this course, I'll probably say, what else can I learn? And I'll keep learning and I'll keep learning,
The education bit is a big debate because from my experience with people on social media, when I post on Facebook about a degree and whatnot, people automatically want to think about a job.
Yeah.
You get the point, right? And someone was saying, why do I need a degree when I can learn the things on YouTube?
Yeah.
I can read online, I can just Google it and, why do I need to get a degree? And the people you mentioned in the arts, I think I had Peterson sit right there and they say the same thing. It's like, look, my wife and I graduated together. I have a degree in, I think, mass comm or something. I went to school, I did a degree. He's never looked for a mass comm job, but he has a degree, and I feel like that's the kind of culture we have to preach to people. And I feel very happy when I see people like you who you've already built your. I don't think anyone will come and say, no, before we work with you first, show us your degree. No, like your name precedes you. You get the point, right? Oh, it's Sebastian. That's a guy. But even when you feel like, okay, I am right at the pinnacle. Okay, I don't think at the pinnacle of your career yet, but even as high as you've gone, you still say, no, you know what? Let me go back to school. I feel like these are the kind of examples we really have to throw to our youth out there. What 5 things would you give to young people as advice as we come to an end?
Oh.
And apart from be humble, that's number one.
That's number one. I think that's number one. I think that's just number one. I believe in yourself. I think it's very important, guys. Trust your dopeness. Believe in yourself. You are the solution to your problems. Nobody else is going to come fix it. You have to believe in yourself. Sometimes it's hard. It feels like, man, how am I going to get out of this? But, you have to believe in yourself. Even me up to now, there are certain things, even certain small things that I haven't done that I ask myself, but why haven't I done this? Why haven't I done this? Why haven't I succeeded in this? But just keep believing. Eventually it will happen. I think I'll also say your relationships are important. Be wary of your relationships. These relationships are I'm not only talking about the girls you're dating, I'm also talking about your friends. Be very careful about the people you surround yourselves with. Not everybody is honest. Some people are looking for their own break and they are going to get it through you. And then you remain behind. So be very careful about the environment you keep, the friends you keep. They can also push you down or push you up. I'd say this is the 4th one. I'd say watch your money. This is probably, I should be the last person talking about money because I'm the worst with money, honestly. But I'd say watch your money. That's something that I'd say, watch your money. I've seen, now that I'm at the age where I'm absorbing a lot of information, I've seen a lot of information that says being rich is not about making a lot of money. It's about how you spend the little money that you have. It's a different perspective. In this country, unfortunately, people are so focused on the making of the money. They're never focused on the investing. A lot of these big guys that we see out there, they have stories. But they don't tell you their stories. Not everyone has the opportunity also to speak on a podcast and tell their stories. But there is something. I'm sure you also have a story. You also started somewhere. So investing, all of those things, it starts early. I think be careful with your money. And then the last one is have fun, you're young. At the end of the day, I'm in my early 30s. I just got into my early 30s. Have fun, guys. You know, you can have fun without destroying your life. But while you are young and you're energetic, do the things that you need to do. Try all these things, have fun with them. Figure yourself out in the process of having fun, you know. Be let loose, experience yourself. What are you good at? What are you not good at? And then in the process, have fun, you know. Try and have as much fun as possible. There will be a time that will come in your life when you can't have fun, when you can't run, when even sitting is painful, you know. It's how life is at the end of the day. So, yeah, just try and have a lot of fun.
Mr. Dutch, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
I think it was good value for time, man. Ish, I'm really beginning to think I should even... not that I do judge people, okay? I don't judge people, but there are some people who go like, that one. Oh, what can you say? That one. Get a point, right?
Yeah.
But then also, like I said, from our own experiences, there's always something someone has to teach us. There's always, and that's why for me, the podcast, and I've always told people, my podcast is not about bringing big names and famous people and whatnot. I've brought people here that no one knows.
Yeah.
But when they're done talking, you go like, wow. Because our experiences don't have to be in the limelight for others to learn from them.
100%.
You get the point, right? Yeah. And for me, seeing someone like you who's focused and I feel like you made those mistakes so that you can become this version of yourself.
Yes.
Because had you not made any mistakes, that had you had this perfect, I don't think you'd have this level of wisdom that you have. It's the mistakes that you made. And also sometimes it's even in business, it's the losses that make you who you are. It's I lost money, I was scammed, I was what. That now builds the character of the person you are.
Yeah.
And that's why there's one young man, and they'd complained some time back that I did an interview with him and he never aired. Is because when I sat down with him and asked him, have you ever, made losses? No. Have you ever? No. So what are you going to teach people? You get a point, right? Because it's in pain, it's in mistakes that others learn. Yeah. But if I came to you and said, how was it starting out as Sebastian Dutch? I was good. I met DJ LBC and we're here now. Everything was okay.
Yeah.
Or what about money? Money is good. I'm disciplined. Like, what are you teaching us?
Yeah.
I feel like you have to hit rock bottom at some point. Yeah. It has to go south.
It has to.
For you to tell us, how did you come back?
Yes.
Because for most people, they've gone south and they're struggling to come back. So you went through that. And what can we learn from you?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time, man.
No, man, it's been amazing. I've been a fan of the podcast. I've been a fan of you yourself as well. So it's amazing to be here, share my stories, my journey with you. And I hope somebody out there can also pick one or two things out of this. I think the essence also of this podcast, like you said, is for people to learn. And I don't think the people who come on this podcast and tell their stories are perfect. I'm not living a perfect life. But the difference is that we have made the decision to correct our journey and we're trying to fix it.
Exactly, yeah. Because also sometimes you make mistakes so others don't have to make them.
100%.
Yeah, so that's just how it is. But guys, thank you very much. Tell someone about the podcast. We've been talking to Sebastian Dutch. He is, more known as a DJ, but like he did say, he is a marketing executive, account executive at a named agency, which he didn't disclose, but he disclosed the others. But yeah, we won't, fault him for that. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much also to our sponsors, Best Life Insurance, for making the podcast possible. And before you go, remember that your farm workers, yes, if you are farm workers, they also need life insurance. So you can cover them for only 45 kwacha per month. Contact Best Life Insurance on info@bestlifezambia.co.za. We'll see you in the next episode.